Hello children, in today's class we will see the world of cinema. So this class will cover the birth of cinema and film in India. So we are going to cover two aspects of the world of cinema in this class. So let us enter into this world of cinema. So film is the art of making movies. So a moving film is a series of images recorded on film that appear to move when played through a film projector. Films, as you all know, can introduce people to new ideas and help them to explore social issues. And if you see, students, they learn from educational films. Every week, millions of people, they go to the cinema halls and many millions more watch films that are broadcast on television. And coming into the birth of cinema, the film, one of the most captivating media, was born towards the end of 19th century and grew up in the 20th century. And you know which paved way for this film? It is photography. Photography paved the way to modern visual communication, starting with film. So photography made the possibility of capturing still images. So the next attempt was to capture moving pictures. So as you all know, this is the camera actually designed by Lumiere brothers. So William K. L. Dixon, he developed kinetograph. A moving camera. And Thomas Alva Edison, August Lumiere and Louis Lumiere were the eminent inventors who contributed to the development of film. And August and Louis, better known as Lumiere brothers, so you know Lumiere brothers, you are familiar with the name Lumiere brothers, they patented a camera on February 13, 1895, which could also project films. So this is the camera, Lumiere brothers camera. They made the first film which lasted for 1.5 minutes. So 1.5 minutes using the newly developed camera. So with the help of this camera, they made a film which lasted for 1.5 minutes. So the film titled, this is the film titled Leaving the Lumiere Factory. Okay, this is the first film made by Lumiere brothers which lasted for 1.5 minutes. So the film Leaving the Lumiere Factory depicted workers coming out of the factory during the lunch break. So you can see workers coming out of the factory during lunch break. So this magic invention drew the attention of people in large numbers to get a glimpse of moving pictures. So the Lumiere films were silent depiction of routine activities of ordinary people which lasted at the most to 2 minutes. So you can see these are just silent depiction. So cinema was first exhibited in India by the Lumiere brothers on July 7th, 1896 at Watson's Hotel in Mumbai. That is actually 6 months after their public exhibition in Paris. So immediately after the first exhibition in Paris, they came down to India and they exhibited their film at Watson's Hotel in Mumbai. And coming to films in India, Lumiere brothers representatives held the first public showing of their films at Mumbai's Watson's Hotel in 1896. So feature films found their place in India in 1912. So see, Lumiere brothers actually exhibited in the year 1896. And feature films, they actually found their place in India only in the year 1912. So when the first film, Pandalik, so this was the first Indian film. Okay, Pandalik was made by R.J. Tony and L.G. Chitri. So it was based on the life of Maharashtrian saint with the same name. But it was half British in its maker. So this film was followed by the next complete Indian film. This film is Pandalik is actually half British in maker. So we cannot claim the ownership. So this is the second film. So this first film Pandalik was followed by Raja Harichandra in 1930 by Phalke. Okay, this is by Dandiraj Govind Phalke, popularly known as Dada Sahib. So he is credited with laying the foundation for the Indian film industry, and even many describe him as the father of Indian films, as you all know. So the era of talkie films began in 1931 when the first film. So this is actually the image of the picture from Raja Harichandra feature film. Okay, talkie film. This is Alam Ara. This is the first talkie film. Indian film, Alam and Ara. This is the first. So the era of the talkie film began in 1931 when the first film, this Alam and Ara, was produced by Adarsh Irani. Several studios sprout up in Bombay, Calcutta and Madras to produce movies after the coming out of this Alam Ara. So the social films of the Shandaram, more than anything else, paved the way for an entire set of directors who took it upon themselves to interrogate not only the institutions of marriage, dowry and widowhood, but the grave inequalities created by caste and class distinctions. And the noted film directors of early years were V. Shandaram, K. A. Abbas, P. C. Bora, Satyajit Ray, Shourab Modi, Raj Kapoor. Just sharing few images. Okay. Mridnal Sen and Mehboob Khan, to name a few. Okay, just I have named a few here. So it is without doubt that under the influence of the Bengali filmmakers like Satyajit Ray. So this is Satyajit Ray. So under the influence of the Bengali filmmakers Satyajit Ray, like Satyajit Ray, Ritwik Gandhi and Mridnal Sen, in the Indian cinema, not only in Hindi, also began to take somewhat different turn in the year 1970. That is, in 1970s, Indian cinema took a turn. So the Indian film industry, famously known as Bollywood, I know you are familiar with this term. The Indian film industry, popularly known as Bollywood, is the largest in the world and has major film studios in Mumbai. That is past known as Bombay, so in Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai, Bangalore and Hyderabad. For people who make films, the medium provides an opportunity for expression, an opportunity to practice a complex craft as well as a livelihood. And it may seek to educate, persuade and influence and entertain. So this is why this is prescribed under journalism. So the other roles played by film is not only for entertainment, it can educate and persuade and influence, as in the case of propaganda. Okay, so this can highly influence audience. And Dada Sahib Phalke, it is Dandiraj Govind Phalke, affectionately called Phalke, is considered as the father of Indian cinema. So Phalke, with his imported camera, he exposed single frames of the seed sprouting to a growing plant, shot once a day, over a month, thus inadvertently introducing the concept of time-lapse photography. So he is the one who introduced the time-lapse photography, which resulted in the first indigenous instructional film. That is the birth of a pea plant. Okay, so inspired from an imported film, that is Life of Christ, Phalke started mentally visualizing the images of Indian gods and goddesses. What really obsessed him was the desire to see Indian images on the screen in a purely Swadeshi venture. So he mixed up a studio in Dadar main road, wrote the scenario, erected the set and started shooting for his first venture, Raja Harishchandra. This is how it came out. And so next, coming to Malayalam cinema, that is history of Malayalam cinema. The first Malayalam cinema was produced and directed by J.C. Daniel, a dentist by profession who didn't have any prior experience. So Vigatha Kumaran was released in the year 1928 but failed economically. So that was not a success, though Vigatha Kumaran was published, exhibited, was released in 1928. It was a failure economically. So the ill luck of Malayalam continued. So the second film, Marthanda Verma, based on a novel of the same name by C.V. Raman Pillai, was produced by Sundar Raj in 1933. But due to a legal confrontation regarding the rights of the film, the producer had to withdraw the film from cinema halls after a few exhibitions. So this was also by Marthanda Rama, the history of silent Malayalam cinema too came to an end. So this was not also the first talkie movie. Balan, the first Taki Malayalam movie. Okay, Balan is the first Taki Malayalam movie. So Indian cinema had already entered the Taki age even before Martanda Verma was released. So Balan, the first Malayalam cinema with a soundtrack, was released in the year 1938. Produced by Tamilian T.R. Sundaram at the modern theatres. So Balan was directed by Nothani, a melodramatic film with more Tamil influence than Malayalam. So it is more Tamil influence than Malayalam. So if you see, the next complete authentic Malayalam film is Neelakuil. Through Neelakuil, Malayalam cinema for the first time had an authentic Malayalam story. So the story for Neelakuil was penned by renowned Malayalam writer Urub and directed by the duo of P. Bhaskaran and Ramakuriya. So this melodramatic film dealt with the issue of untouchability in the society. And coming to the Malayalam New Wave. So Chemmin, yes, I left this Chemmin. Chemmin now was directed by Ramakuriya, was the first South Indian film to bag the President's Golden Lotus Award for the best film. And this is also based on a famous novel of the same name by renowned Malayalam writer Tamil Shivashankar Pillai. Chemmin pioneered the growth of Malayalam cinema in technical and artistic aspects. So it brought together some of the best technical talents then available in India. Okay, then coming to Malayalam New Wave, the growth of film society movement and the screenings of world classics forced a drastic change in Malayali film sensitivity during the early 1970s. So a new movement, often termed as the New Wave Malayalam cinema, or the Malayalam parallel cinema, emerged in 1970s. And Adur Gopalakrishnan made his first film, Swayamvaram, in 1972, which made Malayalam cinema noticed at international film arena. And actually, Aravindan, through his Uttarandam in 1974, he accelerated this radical change in Malayalam cinema. And to mention some of the great masters of world cinema, just for you to know the names, Victor D. Sica. Victor D. Sica was a film director and actor who was a major figure in the Italian neo-realist movement. Victor D. Sica, the famous film which you must watch, Bicycle Thieves. So if you have time, please watch this movie, The Bicycle Thieves. The Bicycle Thieves. And Akira Kurosawa, a Japanese film director. Akira Kurosawa's famous movie is Rashomon. So this movie is also a very interesting movie, you can watch. And Satyajit Ray. Satyajit Ray is actually an Indian filmmaker. And Sergei Eisenstein. Eisenstein was a revolutionary Soviet film director and a film theorist. He is noted for his film Strike and Battleship Potemkin and October. So this Battleship Potemkin was a very interesting film, you can watch. And coming to there's a Central Board of Film Certifications, which say that the censor board. You see, the films are reviewed for the purpose of certification, and the reports are treated as confidential. So the Central Board of Film Censors has to come out with specific reasons when it asks for cuts in a films, and it must also furnish the particulars of guidelines under which cuts are sought to be effected to the film producer. So the films are certified as U for unrestricted exhibition and A certificate for public exhibition restricted to adults only, and UA certificate for unrestricted public exhibition subjected to parental guidance, that is for children below the age of 12. And there is another certification, that is S. This is for public exhibition restricted to specialized audiences such as business groups, sports personnel, doctors, and handicapped people, etc. And now we have this International Film Festival of Kerala, that is IFFK. Started a decade ago. So International Film Festival of Kerala, now held permanently at Trivandrum, has grown into one of the best in India and a notable one in the international circuit. Meet you next class.